This is the Vic Fizell Show podcast, sponsored by Moroso Wood-Fired Pizzeria, Pinewood Coffee Roasters, and the law offices of Vic Fizell. Let's talk first about the Lubbock case. Deborah Sue Williamson. I've been complaining that they need to reopen that case.
Yes.
Well, I found out just the other day it is reopened.
It has been reopened.
It has reopened.
Praise Jesus.
Well, not really. It's been open since the 80s, but they're still treating it like it's cold.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. They tell Liz Flatt, Deborah Sue Williamson's sister, that, no, we reopened this case.
But just no one's working on it.
But we're not going to let you see the file. We're not going to let you see any of the evidence.
Is this that whole dog in the manger thing you were telling me about?
Dog in the manger.
Ah.
Exactly, the dog in the manger. That dog is up there laying on that straw. He's not going to let the other animals approach it. He's not going to let them eat it, even though they would like to.
So
he just growls at them and keeps them away. Well, that's what Lubbock PD is doing right now. Now, when I was DA, the district attorney in Lubbock during the time was a guy named Darnell, District Attorney Darnell. I can't remember his first name, but District Attorney Darnell is now a district judge.
Oh, wow.
Out in Lubbock. That's the way some of them go. I didn't go that route, but Ken Anderson did. He was DA in Williamson County.
Oh, boy.
And then he screwed up on Orange Sox, and he screwed up on Michael Morton, and he screwed up on 2 or 3 more, and now he's not on the bench anymore.
Nope.
Well, we were trying to get DA Darnell to reopen this case back in the 80s, and he was just rude, man.
He just wouldn't do it, wouldn't even entertain the idea?
No, and I talked to him on the phone, and he was rude to me on the phone, and he was rude to Bob Lemons, and he was rude to poor old Joyce. You know, and Bob passed away years ago, and Joyce passed away just a few months ago.
Just a few months ago.
Joyce was in my house 6 or 8 months ago when Netflix was at my home filming, and they brought Joyce down to my house so that we could have a little reunion.
That's awesome.
I really appreciated because I loved her. I loved Bob. And so we had a little reunion at the house, and Netflix got to film some of it. And I hope some of it makes the documentary.
That'd be cool.
It'd be really cool. But this DA Darnell was pretty rude to them. And now the police department is being rude to Liz Flatt.
Why is this so, Vic?
I don't know.
And we haven't really gone too deep in the facts of the case, but what I will say is the facts are so crazy. There's absolutely no way Lucas could have done it.
There's nothing,
no
zero,
way.
zip
No way.
that ties Lucas to this crime. And in his confession, he got everything wrong. We're going to play some video and audio later, not in this podcast, but probably next year, because I've got tons of video of Bob and Joyce Lemons.
Yeah, we do.
We've got press conferences they held, and then we got them talking with me at different fundraisers and get-togethers that I had while I was DA. If I had anything going on while I was DA, Bob and Joyce were so sweet, man, they'd hop in their car and they'd drive here from Lubbock.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we've got some great pictures of me and them together. One of me, Bob, and Joyce we're going to post on our website, vicfizell.com. You notice I didn't say WW that time.
Left out your W's.
Yeah, that's superfluous. You don't have to say that anymore. Everybody knows it.
It's
It
true.
always reminds me of Bob Dole back when he was
Bob
running
Dole.
for president. Remember?
Of course.
Websites that just come out. Look at Bob Dole, www.bobdole.com.
man.
And I kept thinking, oh, Bob, come on, cut out the W's. And now I'm doing it. So anyway, vicfizell.com. Look at it. You'll find pictures of me and Joyce Lemons and Bob from back in the 80s, and also find pictures of me and Joyce, and maybe even one of me, Joyce, and Liz when Netflix was at the house.
Cool.
And after Netflix airs, we're going to post some more pictures that I took of the Netflix people. Taki Odom, Robbie, Liz, Melissa. What a great
Whole
crew.
Yeah, man. Super sweet people.
Sweet people. And I'm telling you, Kenner Films, it's a hell of a company. and great people that work for them.
They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. So anyway, about the Deborah Sue Williamson case, it is an open case, but they're the dog in the manger. They're not letting anybody look at it. Matter of fact, Liz had a group of people, they're former FBI agents,
Really?
who are called the Cold Case Foundation.
Okay.
And they were wanting to look off into Deborah Sue Williamson's murder because they had looked at the Lucas confession and saw that how absolutely nothing lined up. And they were wanting to look at it. Well, the Lubbock PD refused to let them look at the file.
Wow.
These are former FBI agents.
That's crazy,
You know,
man.
and I like to complain and gripe a lot about certain FBI agents because every barrel of apples is going to have its bad one or two. But for the most part, those are some pretty smart guys.
At what point, Vic, does it become obstruction of justice?
I don't know. That's up to the FBI.
Because right now it seems like a fine line that these Lubbock PD folks are starting to really tiptoe on to where,
It does. Who are they protecting?
yeah,
You know, is it a family member? Is it somebody that was related to Deborah Sue Williamson? Somebody that was related to her husband? There had been suspicions before that it was maybe one of her husband's family members. Even some suspicion of it being a former boyfriend.
oh wow,
'Cause she was a beautiful young lady. She was young. She was blonde. She was very pretty and recently married, you know? And the way that this confession came down, it made no sense. But anyway, I talked to Liz Flatt, Deborah Sue Williamson's sister. The things she would like to get is the fingernail clippings, the things that the Cold Case Foundation would like to see the fingernail clippings,
and what is the relevance of fingernail clippings?
because there appeared to have been a struggle.
Oh,
And they think that she may have had the flesh of her attacker under her fingernails.
oh wow,
And they clipped those, and apparently they saved them. Now, according to Liz, some of the evidence has been destroyed because once you close a case, they go and destroy it.
wow,
And then the Lubbock PD had a flood one time. We know how that is. I had a flood. You had to go through all my stuff, clean it up,
Oh, yeah.
and scan it. We're looking for snakes. But Lubbock PD had a flood, and some of it went away. But these fingernail clippings are supposed to be with a lab in Austin with DPS. If there's any DNA anywhere that will unlock this case, it will be with those fingernail clippings.
right.
So please, 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 if anyone's listening, if you know how to do it, and if you and I, Jonathan, if we have to, we will pin an open records request just to see if they still have them.
Yeah, that's an easy one to do.
Because this could be a case that could be solved. And the reason I say that is because cases are being solved on a regular basis now.
Regularly.
Regular.
Or at the very least, Lucas is being ruled out as a suspect.
Ruled out. Yeah. Did you say rolled out or ruled out?
Rolled out. Rolled out. Roll out.
Ruled out.
Ruled out.
Yeah.
Which is what we're here to talk about today, Vic. Because we have two such cases.
Yes, we do. And let's not forget to talk about our contest winners.
Let's talk about them.
Let's talk about these cases, then we'll come back.
Okay.
All right.
So why don't we start with the Utah case first?
Utah.
Yes. So this was a BYU or former BYU student who was murdered in 1978.
Brigham Young University.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
She was only, that was 35 years ago. This murder happened in 1984.
Well, it's been officially closed since 1984.
Closed since 84. Okay. And the Utah Cold Case Coalition, working with the Provo Police Department, have decided to review the case of Marla Scharp, Scharp, who died at the age of 26 after she was raped and murdered in her Provo home on June 29th, 1978. And that's during the Lucas sweet spot. That's when they were pinning stuff on
The
Lucas.
sweet spot.
And apparently, says here, her case was closed after Henry Lee Lucas confessed to murdering her.
Yes.
He also confessed to murdering hundreds of others in the United States. But his confessions have been debunked. A spokesman for the coalition shared reasons as to why Lucas could not have been responsible for Scharp's death. I wonder if they got some of those reasons from the Lucas report.
Probably.
Or from our podcast.
Yeah.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be. Or they could know that Netflix is coming out and they don't want to be one of these jurisdictions with egg on their face because they refuse to reopen the case. Now, I know that Taki Odom, he was one of the producers for this next Netflix thing coming out called The Confession Killer.
Right.
Taki and I spent hours and hours and hours together. And I know that Taki has been calling around to these different jurisdictions trying to get them to reopen the cases and telling them what was coming.
Yeah.
You know, because Taki was armed with everything that we had because we gave him everything we had.
Yeah.
Plus, he went out and found a lot on his own.
Mm-hmm.
He and his fiancée, Tennille. I call him Captain and Tennille. Taki and Tennille.
That's funny.
But they're both so sweet and they're so smart. And Tennille can find anything through the internet. And so she was going along researching all these closed cases, and Taki was trying to get him to reopen them. And this may be one that Taki had some influence on. Taki, I think, is in Australia vacationing right now since the Netflix thing finally closed, and we're getting ready for it to go live on December 6th. December 6th, 3 a.m., all 5 episodes, worldwide, 50 languages.
There we go.
Whoa. I got to take a day off and binge watch this thing.
So I'm saying, Vic, we should have a little viewing party at your place.
Yeah, we should. I'm just nervous, though.
No, man, let's get some pizzas. From Moroso's Wood-Fired Pizzeria.
Moroso, Wood-Fired
tag 'em back in.
Pizzeria, and get us some coffee from Dylan Washington over at Pinewood Coffee Roasters, and we'll have us a party.
Speaking of which, Vic, maybe we can tease the fact that we're going to be selling some coffee beans on this show.
We are going to be selling coffee. Yeah.
That's just our teaser. That's all we're going to give you.
Well, one of them I'm pretty proud of.
All right, which one is it?
Y'all have heard me talk about how much coffee I drank when I was DA.
Yeah.
I mean, I was easily 40 cups a day.
That's
if I was in a
so out of
trial,
control.
I might have done double that. So it's no wonder I said some stupid things and got in fights all the time. I had too much caffeine pulsating through my body. And the DA's office coffee, we bought the cheapest stuff we could find. Now, I got to tell you, the coffee that we're going to sell is going to be good.
Yeah, it's actually roasted right here in Waco.
Right here in Waco by Pinewood Coffee Roasters.
Yes, that is our source.
But we're going to have a brand called, what's it called?
Are you talking about the DA's blend?
The DA blend, yeah. It's called the DA blend. This is really bad coffee. But it's not bad coffee. We're just putting that on the label. The coffee at the DA's office was pretty bad. This coffee is going to be good. So when we put it on our store page, buy some and have a cup of the DA's office blend and listen to our podcast while we talk about these cases and sip your DA blend coffee. We're going to have a couple other blends too.
We will.
Yeah.
We'll unveil those.
We'll unveil those later.
When the time comes.
We'll unveil those later.
I love it.
But we're going to start with the DA's office coffee blend. Yeah, the Victory blend.
The Victory blend.
Victory.
I love it.
My friend MC Yogi says about me.
What's that?
You put the Vic in victorious.
There you go.
God, I love that guy. He's so sweet.
Yeah, I dig it, man. Okay,
so if you don't know who MC Yogi is, Google him. Go buy some of his music, buy one of his T-shirts.
Yeah,
he's one of the best yoga teachers in the world, and he's also a fabulous musician who writes his own music, and it's very spiritual. It's consciousness expanding, mind expanding, very spiritual, and it's beautiful and well done. Very well done. You're a musician, Jonathan.
Sure.
You're not only a musician, you're a critical musician.
I'm a very critical musician.
Very critical because your ear is well trained. I mean, you hear stuff I never hear. You know, you would have heard the cricket in the Buddy Holly song, but that I never heard.
There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, MC Yogi.
It's a benefit and a detriment.
Benefit and
but
a
I
detriment.
live with it.
Well, I'm glad you're that way because you make our sound for this podcast so good.
Trying to make as good as we can.
So anyway,
Very true.
That's the
So-
news on Deborah Sue Williamson. It is an open case. Like I've corrected before, Liz no longer lives in Lubbock, but I'm not saying where she is going to live. I talked to her last night. She's going to be on our podcast next year.
Awesome.
In January, she said she'd even drive to Waco and sit here with us and do it. So I love Liz. I love her parents, and I'm sorry about everything they've had to go through. Because Bob had a hard time with Bob Prince. Bob Lemons actually got thrown out of Bob Prince's office.
No way.
Yeah. Man, he stood up and said, you're going to leave now or I'm going to throw you out. When Bob was trying to tell him that there isn't any way that Henry did this crime.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my home. I lived in this home. I know that door doesn't even open. The door he claims to have come in.
Yeah.
It's sealed shut. God. So, yeah, we'll be having some fun with that.
So back to
so we got the Brigham Young student,
Marla Scharp.
Marla Scharp.
So they have agreed to reopen it, which is phenomenal, Vic.
Phenomenal.
And I'm happy that there are groups out there like this Utah Cold Case Coalition that are, reopening these cases, whether it be a Lucas case or really just any case.
Any case.
And for some reason, like what you said, somehow the whole Lucas hoax got on their radar to where this article further goes into how they are basically calling for the entire U.S. If you had a Henry Lee Lucas case, reopen it. Take a second look at it.
Look at it. Yeah. It's like I asked Jim Adams to do. Colonel Jim Adams, head of the Rangers, head of the state police. When we first started looking off into this, and we found 15 or 20 cases that he absolutely could not have done. And then when Hugh Ainsworth came along and we got his information, in addition to what I had already gotten from Truman Simons when he was working the TCIC, NCIC computers.
Yeah.
And we were finding all these cases that he couldn't have done. And then here's Jim Adams down there going, we're not going to reopen a single Lucas case. Not a one, but I am going to investigate you, Vic.
You know what I wonder what Jim Adams is thinking right now. Now that all these cases are reopening and this whole thing's unraveling, and there's going to be a 5-part Netflix miniseries on it.
Now, I wonder. He's older than me.
Yeah, 70s, 80s.
So he's got to be in his 80s. So I really hope he's still got his mind and his senses so that he can see all this. I really do. Yeah. I don't want him to be laying in a bed on an IV somewhere not knowing what's going on. I want him to see that all this has come full circle and that the monsters he created are now have been slain and are laying at his feet, bleeding out on his shoes.
Yeah.
I want him to know. I really do, because this was his deal. And he's the one who decided, instead of cleaning up his own backyard,
he wanted
to come after me.
Yeah.
No, Vic Fizell, we're not going to clean up our own yard, but I am going to crucify you. That's not right. And not only are there other cases being reopened, but here's one, Jonathan, that was solved.
And we're talking about is this the 1980s one?
Yeah.
1980. Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, this newspaper article came out on November 22nd, so that's just
smokes, just a couple days ago.
A couple days ago, yeah. This was a 70-year-old man has been accused of murdering a Navy pilot's wife in Norfolk, Virginia, nearly 40 years ago, a slaying which police once suspected 2 notorious serial killers.
Oh, let me guess. Let me guess.
Drum roll.
Henry Lee Lucas and Ottis Toole.
Ottis Toole, yeah. Henry Lucas. And this murder happened, her body was discovered on September 11th, 1980.
Yep.
So that was still in the Henry sweet spot when Boutwell was blaming him for everything that came along. But you looked up on our Lucas report a while ago.
On our database, which
on
you
our
can find
database,
at vicfazell.com.
It's right there.
Scope it out.
You can also find it on henryleelucas.com, right?
It's not there yet, but
it's not there yet. It will be soon. But if you haven't looked at henryleelucas.com, look at it. We launched it just a couple days ago.
We did. We're working on it.
It's got some good background material on it, and it points to our website. and a lot of the media stuff that's going on right now. But Jonathan, you looked at the Lucas report, and you figured out that on September the 10th, 1980,
Yeah.
Lucas was selling scrap metal in Jacksonville, Florida.
He was.
You got the receipt for it.
We got the receipt for it.
So the day before in Jacksonville, Florida, and that's a long way from Norfolk, Virginia.
Right.
That's a good drive. But not only was he selling scrap metal on September the 10th, 1980, but on September the 15th, 5 days later, and only 4 days after the body was found of this naval pilot, his wife, he had managed to collect, let me make sure I've got this right, 314 pounds of scrap metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of picking up scrap
There's a lot
metal.
of picking up. And the thing that really blows my mind with this one too, Vic, is that when she was found on the 11th, she had already been dead for 24 hours. So that would have put her, being murdered on the day he was selling scrap
On the
metal.
day he was selling the scrap metal. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, come on. So she wasn't found for 24 hours later. Oh, and people, this brings up something else. If you're going to get murdered, make sure your pets are not in the house. This
If
poor
you can
child,
control it.
she lived alone with only her tabby cat.
Okay.
I like cats. I do. I like dogs. But don't get murdered with one in your house because people, your sweet pets, they're only one meal away from total mayhem.
What do you mean?
You don't feed that cat and you die in your lazy boy recliner,
Okay.
the first thing that cat's going to do, if there's any blood, they're going to lick the blood. If there's not any blood, when they get hungry, they're going to start eating the soft spots.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. They start with your lips.
Ugh.
They go to your earlobes.
Why you got to be like this?
They eat off your eyelids. And if you don't have any clothes on, then they go to your genitals.
Is this
So
real?
It's real. They get your face, and then they get your genitals. So don't die with your pets in the house, people. If you want to have an open casket funeral, do not die with your pets in the house, because I've seen this too many times. Too many crime photos of, oh, my God, there was a cat in the house. So don't do that. If you're going to die, put the cats outside. Put the dogs outside.
If you have to.
If you have to die.
If you're going to get murdered, make sure you put the pets out first.
Yeah, don't get murdered. I like to quote those chicks from My Favorite Murder. Be sexy and don't get murdered.
There you go.
That's my motto. I want to be sexy and I don't want to get murdered. But if I'm going to get murdered, I'm not going to do it with a cat in the house.
Fair enough.
Because then all the pictures, you're just going to have a big old Skeletor face shining back out at the camera, man. It ain't
Creepy.
pretty.
That is creepy.
It's creepy. So don't do that. So anyway, here's one that's been solved. A 25-year-old case. And how'd they solve it? DNA.
Correcto.
They ran the DNA. So praise the Lord. I'm very thankful for DNA. We're getting the right people now.
Right. So,
And usually the husband is a automatic suspect.
and he was away at the time.
Yeah.
So it
and
wasn't him.
Wasn't him. And it's some 70-year-old guy
Yeah.
gets a knock on his door. And it's, guess what, old man? You're under arrest for
Yeah,
a murder you did.
39-year-old murder.
Yeah.
It's just wild, Vic. And so we're talking about the case of Kathleen O'Brien Doyle. So that's the name of the woman. And basically what they did is 24 hours later, they found this poor woman raped, stabbed with a knife, and then choked with a cord in her home. Yikes, man. But what we know is that there was forensic evidence that was ultimately tested, and boom, they got a hit on this gentleman.
Boom.
This is
Dennis
Dennis
Bowman.
Bowman.
Dennis Bowman. Where this had been a closed case. It
Yes.
had been attributed to Henry Lee Lucas, who was 47 at the time, and Ottis Elwood Toole.
Elwood.
Sounds like one of the Blues Brothers.
It does. It really does.
And Ottis was 37 at the time. I didn't realize Ottis was 10 years younger than Henry. He looks 10 years older.
What?
Yeah, Ottis was ugly, man.
And this is one of those cases too, Vic, that I really like because this was one of them that it was attributed to Henry because this was prime confession time too. This is when Williamson County had him, and in June '84, this Norfolk police officer came all the way down to Texas, like so many officers did from around the U.S., and interviewed Henry about a case. And of course, Henry said, "Yep, I did it, 100% mine." But what's even weirder is this. Lucas and Toole's hair and blood types had been paneled, and they were compared with what they had at the crime scene from this murder. And the Norfolk police came back and said, there's a match.
You know, there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
There's a
lot of
because
problems
those
with that.
guys weren't there.
Right.
They weren't there, and now they've caught the real killer. So how that happened? Was that incompetence in the lab? Was
That's a
that
great question.
cognitive bias again? Did somebody just totally friggin' lie?
The way I read this, Vic, it's like someone just lied. It's
Just
like
like
they had
somebody
this
just lied.
unsolved murder. Henry said absolutely, so they said great.
And that's what still bothers me about the murder of Frida Powell
Yeah.
and Kate Rich. Because you got to believe what those guys are saying.
Yeah.
You know, you got to believe what they're saying. And we have analyzed Becky and Kate Rich.
Yeah.
And I'll give them Frida Powell right now. I will.
Give him that one.
But I'm not willing to give them Kate Rich. I'm just not. Because I think there's too much screwy stuff going on with Sheriff Conway. Now, I'm not saying that Ranger Phil Ryan was involved in it, and I hope not. Because he mainly did the Becky Powell case.
Yeah.
Although he really did hassle Henry a lot over Kate Rich, that was still mainly Sheriff Conway's case.
Right.
And if we keep in mind that all of this BS started because Conway thought that Henry had killed Kate Rich.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then all the craziness after Becky disappeared. And the craziness with Ottis Toole saying, yeah, Becky called me just a couple months ago. But then when the cops questioned him, he changed his mind and said, oh, no, I lied about that.
Yeah.
Well, why would he lie about that? Why would he lie about
Just so odd.
it? It almost makes me think that Frida did call Ottis.
Yeah.
And also, why would Henry jump in his car and drive all the way to Jacksonville, Florida, looking for Becky
I know it.
if he had killed her?
And especially someone who has no money, very little resource to do so.
Exactly. And then when she's not in Florida, he decides, hey, I'm going to go back to California
Yeah,
and see
just
if he's
drive
with
all the way across the country.
Jack Smart. Yeah. And then his car breaks down before he gets there.
Yeah.
And then they find the blood and the knives, but none of it matches anything, but they still keep bringing that along. Oh, my, we found blood in the car. Well, come on, guys. Admit that blood didn't belong to anybody. It wasn't
Right.
Kate's blood. It couldn't have been Becky's because that car wasn't even around yet when Henry knew Becky, you know?
Right.
And the knives had no blood on it, and the glasses in the car were not Kate Rich's.
Yeah.
But that stuff still comes floating back around as, oh, we have cooperation. No, you don't.
Yeah, you got
No,
nothing.
you don't. Let's keep things straight, people. So I'm going to give Becky Frida Powell to Ryan, to Ranger Ryan. Okay, I'll say that Henry killed Becky. But I'm still hoping she'll call me.
Yeah. Wow. Oh no. So very trippy that it was kind of, shuffled under and obviously put in Lucas and Toole's names. They said they had that corroborating evidence via the link with the hair and blood types, which whatever. But what's even crazier, Vic, is Kathleen Doyle's father in 2003 wrote a letter to he wrote it to the Virginian Pilot is the name of the actual paper. And he was just scathing in this letter and said, the police force was corrupt for doing it. They should not have closed the case. The murderer should have been caught 39 years ago, but you guys just attributed it to this guy who had nothing to do with it.
Nothing
but
to do with it.
You really had nothing to go off of.
Yeah.
other than made up things and matches that the police department made up. So evidently he's still pretty livid about it today.
Yeah, and that's the way that Bob Lemons was. When we pull out some of the old video of Bob, oh man, he's raking them over the coals. And rightfully so, because he's so frustrated. Because it's so obvious that Henry had not killed his daughter, had not killed his and Joyce's daughter. Yet they insisted, we don't care what you're saying, you're wrong. And then Prince standing up, as we've seen him do on video before, get out of my office. Get out of my office before I throw you out. Well, I thought this was going to be an objective interview. If this isn't objective, meaning if you're not kissing my ass, leave my office. So, yeah.
Man.
I hope that Jim Adams still has his mind so that he can see all this unfold.
Yeah.
And the week before I start trial, Jim Adams suddenly retires. Suddenly retires, and he's out of there.
Wow.
Okay? Now, I'm found not guilty. Now, I wonder what that guy up there in Washington with the Public Integrity Unit is thinking about all the things I said to him and all that was going on and everything I put in our motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct, which you and I are going to go into in detail on a future show.
Fun.
Which has affidavit after affidavit after affidavit showing where Jan Patterson, the U.S. Attorney, Jim Adams, Ron Border, and all of them were committing misconduct.
Yeah.
The same kind of misconduct we see happening to the When They See Us group, to the West Memphis 3, to Rodney Reed, to so many people that they just falsely accuse and falsely convict.
Yeah.
And that's what they were trying to do to me. Hey, man.
Well, this is validating for you, Vic.
It's very validating.
This is another case.
It's very validating, and I really wish everybody everywhere, every law enforcement agency everywhere, would reopen their Lucas cases. Especially in the state of Texas. It happened here. It started here. We have some responsibility. Yet we have we have a lieutenant governor, Dan Patrick. Isn't that his name?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Who doesn't care about the people, who doesn't care about anything. We have an AG who doesn't care. Yeah. We need to clean house, people. We need to get clean house and get people down there who care about what's honest and what's right.
And here's the question, too, for you, Vic. You'd have to think the people who worked on these cases back in the 80s, for the most part, they've probably retired by now, right? To where there's a whole brand new group of law enforcement coming in.
I think everybody's retired except me. Yeah.
And I would appeal to those younger folks coming in, the new law enforcement, to say reopen them. Clean this stuff up, because what we're seeing in these articles every time, family members are still alive. And one of the family members in one of these cases even says, it's been, nearly 40 years, but the hole is still there for these people. They still want the answers and they still want the truth. So, whether or not there's a massive public outcry to reopen these cases, Vic, the people are still suffering. The family members still grieve. And it's not a wound that closes.
It's not a wound that closes. That hole is still there. I mean, when you lose a loved one, it's bad enough to lose a loved one and know why you lost them. But to lose them and not know why they're dead, or to lose them and have your government telling you, well, this man over here killed him, and that's not even possible.
Yeah.
And then we have people like our Attorney General, Ken Paxton, who won't even look into it. If I wasn't so sick of politics, I'd be running for Attorney General just so I could do something about this, or running for State Senate just so I could do something about this.
Well, maybe you should.
Oh, I don't want to get in politics. Just so they could say, reopen all these cases. Look at them. Have some hearings. Let's look at what went on. Let's look at who committed perjury. Let's look at who committed obstruction of justice. Because I'm telling you, it wasn't just Ken Anderson.
Yeah.
Ken Anderson's the tip of the iceberg. And for our new listeners, he was the DA and the judge in Williamson County who prosecuted Orange Sox and Michael Morton and a whole slew of other wrongful convictions.
Yes.
And he knew what he was doing at the time. They've already proven that not only was he dishonest, but he knew he was being dishonest.
Yeah.
Man, we've had some good responses to our show. we gave away some Careless Whispers books. We wanted some reviews.
Yeah.
So he said, "Give us a review. Send us your email." We had to stop that because we ran out of books.
Yeah. We're all out of
We
books. Man.
did, but we got some great reviews from and books sent out to Nancy Ali, to Cody Stafford, Sarah Stafford, Brandy Simpson, Becca Kennard, Randy Reeves, Terry Gans, Jacques Rouneau.
I like that name, Jacques.
Jacques, I like that name too. Jacques, like Jacques Cousteau. And Gladys Ellers.
All right.
So all of those got the hardbacks of Careless Whispers.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And they're autographed, right, by you and Mr. Simons.
By me and Truman Simons, maybe one or two, even by Carlton Stowers. And there were a couple that we got that we ordered used.
Yeah.
That when we got in, I had already signed them to
So
somebody
funny.
else back in 1986.
That's so funny when you're doing it. It's like, I didn't sign this one. Yeah, like, well, oh no, your signature's there.
There it is. Oh, no, that
funny.
says to so-and-so, 1986.
What's funny, though, is your signature hasn't changed at all
Yeah.
in 30 years.
Yeah, it hasn't, has it? No.
40 years.
Yeah.
That's funny. And then we just mailed out some copies of The Last Great Days of Radio.
Last Great Days of Radio, Lynn Woolley's book. And I still have a couple of these left. So if you haven't done your review yet, send your review. Do your review of our podcast. Send an email to promo@withvic.com. Tell me what email address you left the review under so I'll know it's you. Give me your snail mail address, and we will drop a book into one of our brand new mailing envelopes. It's got our logo on the outside. It's really
Pretty
cool.
They're pretty
looking.
cool looking. They're sharp.
It's really sharp. But yeah, we have sent Last Great Days of Radio to Christian Fazell. I love Christian Fazell. He's my cousin.
Cool, man.
Yeah. His dad was Jim Fazell.
Okay.
And Jim Fazell was the stuntman for, what's that actor's name? He used to be pretty popular. John Wayne, that's it.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he was really John Wayne's stuntman.
That's awesome.
Anytime you see a John Wayne movie where the horse does like a somersault,
Yeah.
and the rider goes flying off, that's my Uncle Jim.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a
and
cool
He was
uncle.
a stuntman for a lot of people. And I was just teasing about not knowing John Wayne's name. I have a portrait of John Wayne in our conference room.
Yeah, you do.
Because when I was DA, when I'd get in a tight, I'd look at that portrait and I'd go, and this was before What Would Jesus Do was real popular. I go, what would John Wayne do?
Oh, my Lord.
What would John Wayne do in this situation? Because he would always do what's right. And that's where I came up with that slogan, courage to do what's right, not what's easy. And that was my reelection slogan. And that's also going to be the theme of my speech that you're going with me when I give in Laguna in January.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to go give a speech to, I think they said 250, 300 people.
Awesome.
They got a packed house. They've already sold out. So we're doing good, Jonathan.
Yeah.
So anyway, Christian Fazell, my cousin, and he did a review, and he won Last Great Days of Radio. Christian, when you get it, do a selfie and put it on Facebook for us.
There you go.
And then we got this. This is a lawyer. His name is Todd Steele. Todd, T-O-D-D, Todd Steele.
Cool.
That sounds like you ought to be a TV hero, Todd
That is
Steele.
that
for
is
the
a very
defense.
cool name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Or Todd Steele as a spy working with James Bond.
That's
you
it.
know?
That's it.
But we got this review from Todd Steele out in Brownwood. He's a criminal defense lawyer.
Oh, cool.
He says, Vic, I just left you a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. My office is in Brownwood, Texas, and in my practice, I get to travel quite a bit. I've become a podcast junkie, and yours has become my favorite.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Todd Steele, man. I've shared with other attorney friends of mine, and I think They'll all listen. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Todd Steele. You keep up the good work. And God bless you out there doing the Lord's work out there. Doing the Lord's work out there in Brownwood, Texas. Yeah, trying to defend those who have fallen short of perfection from all those others who think they have attained it. Yes.
There you go. Well placed, Mr. Fazell.
What a place. So anyway, everything is going great. We're having such a good time. Netflix airs December 6th.
Yes.
At 3 a.m. They're going to post all 5 episodes, worldwide 50 languages.
Yep.
I'm not going to get up that early to watch it.
That's 3 a.m. Central Time.
Yeah, so I may take part of that day off and watch some of it.
Yeah, right. You're going to be up at 3. Just
no,
how could you not?
Nah.
It's a little kid before Christmas.
No.
I mean, we have been given no idea as to what these episodes are going to cover, anything. We are totally in the dark.
Totally in the dark.
You've been shown nothing.
Nothing.
So
well, I take that back. They showed me a few little short snippets, but I bet you I've seen less than 20 minutes of this 5 episodes.
Wow.
They showed me, you know, they killed my dog Spanky.
They did.
Not Netflix, but
Netflix
FBI and the Rangers killed my dog Spanky because Spanky would bark at him when they'd climb the pole to tap my phone. And they did show me one little segment with Spanky in it.
There you go.
And so last time I talked to Robbie, I said, Robbie only had one question. And I mean Robbie Kenner, not Robbie Robertson, the great lawyer who works for me here at the law offices of Vic Fazell. Robbie Robertson. If you need a good criminal defense lawyer, Robbie Robertson. He also handles car wreck cases. He's good at it. Yeah, he's good at car wrecks, and he's good at criminal defense. So if you've been arrested between Dallas and San Antonio and something, give us a call. We're your people. So anyway, Rob Kenner. Last time I talked to him, I said, just answer one question. Did Spanky make the cut? And he goes, yeah, Spanky made the cut.
There you go.
So
at least you know
I'm
that part's
happy.
in there. At least you know that part's in there.
I know Spanky's in there. Sweet little Spanky. Spanky died for their sins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you actually had the dog tested, right? And there was poison in its stomach or something?
Yeah, we took him to a vet immediately, and the vet said, this dog's been poisoned.
That's just wild.
So I took him back home and buried him.
Wow.
And his little bones are probably still in that backyard somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah. God bless Spanky. Thank you for listening to the Vic Fazell Show podcast. We're a primary source podcast. We don't just read about it and then talk about it. We talk about people we've known, things we've done. We're a primary source podcast. Leave a review. Sign up for our email list. And go visit our store. We have a page on www.vicfazell.com.